I'm muted, wasn't I? Can you hear me now? All right.
Yeah, I got you.
All right, let's start that off. That was a good start to the 2019. What's up, Jockstrap? All right, guys. So welcome back to the 2019 PGA Tour season. So this will be the first live stream of 2019. We'll be doing the normal Fantasy Golf Bag podcast every Monday night. It'll be released on Tuesday, and this will be a nice addition on Wednesday evenings. Thanks. This will basically surmise our thoughts for the whole week. And on a normal week, when tee times start at 8 a.m. Eastern on Thursday, this week's different in Hawaii. It's at 3 p.m. I think it is, Jacob. But yeah, man,
Yeah.
super excited to be able to do this. But how are you doing? How's everything with you this week? And you ready to kick off some 2019, the real 2019 PGA Tour season?
Yeah, no, I'm excited. This is cool. I really like this. I think I'm excited most about just being able to sort of revisit a lot of the things that we talked about on the podcast on Monday. And I got some notes, man. I'm ready. Let's kick it off.
All right, well, let's switch over, man. We're going to talk about the agenda for the show. We're going to try to stick pretty tight to this. So starting off right off the bat, we're going to do a little podcast review, just real simple, talk about our thoughts for Monday and talk about some line movement. Essentially, bring up some guys that maybe we didn't talk about on the podcast that we didn't really like. Maybe we changed our thoughts on that person, whether positively or negatively. And then we'll jump into weather. I know there's a lot of severe weather hitting Hawaii Thursday and Friday, and majority of Saturday, and then Sunday is pretty calm. So we'll touch that a little bit. We'll talk about projections, ownership projections a little bit, and then we'll open it up for Q&A at the end. Anything you guys want to ask, players-wise, strategy-wise, cash, GPP. We're all yours for 25, 30 minutes, whatever that takes. And then we'll wrap it off with some giveaways. So we got some decent prizes for this evening, and then we'll basically finish it off giving off some gifts, and then be ready for tomorrow.
Cool. Let's start.
All right, man. So what about you? We'll start with you. Do you have any thoughts from the podcast on Monday? You kind of ripped me on Jason Day. And I still have not changed my stance on Jason Day. I was talking to someone earlier. Jason Day was notoriously bad with his irons last year. I'm going to assume that kind of sticks to the same this week. But any other people that you talked about or you thought you didn't talk about enough?
Yeah, so Jason Day, despite your refusal to play him this week, I still believe strongly in Jason Day. He's my gut call of the week. I think he comes out and plays really well. I did see today that he's got a new prototype putter that he's putting in play from TaylorMade, a new spider they made. So, not that he needed help with his putting, but yeah, Jason Day definitely for me is one of my top picks for my lineup. I will say one of the guys that I know we talked about him briefly, Patrick Reed. And unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be very sneaky. Him and Woodland both in that lower 8K range. They're just too affordable, in my opinion. So I think my interest is really picked up in him. And then Bubba Watson really intrigued me. After we got off, I was digging into the pricing a little bit, and really, in these fields, it's hard to find leverage just because they're so small. So I was looking at a lot of the guys that people aren't talking about: Molinari, Xander, Paul Casey a little bit, but Bubba Watson. Nobody has heard Bubba Watson really be talked about.
Yeah.
So of course, history is not bad at all. His form coming in isn't great, and honestly, his numbers aren't great. But we know how he plays at tournaments he likes. So. I'm not going to say that I'm definitely on him, but I think it's worth considering.
Yeah. I just pulled the pricing up a little bit so people get an idea in case they haven't already, I guess. So the few guys, so I was really interested in some ownership projections. We actually had Chris from Fantasy National hop in our chat earlier today and was talking about some of the ownerships they had. And to be honest, it's extremely high. John Rahm and Dustin Johnson is what I'm seeing as the highest, and Mark Leishman at 35% I feel is is not right. But yeah, I don't understand that one. But going down the list, I was really intrigued with a couple of these names. I'm curious your thoughts because I think we touched on all these guys on the podcast. Matt Kuchar at 10.4%. Brant Snedeker, you talked about, I think. I'm not touching Brant Snedeker at 11.3%. And Ian Poulter, which is probably my favorite play, point per dollar, 14.3%.
Really?
Yeah. So, interesting. Looking at the top spectrum, John Rahm's at 45% for DraftKings. So,
oh, man.
I mean, I like Rahm a little bit at 9.8, but not that much. If you're playing GPPs, I think that's a strategic fade that probably will work out, in my opinion.
You know who you go to when you fade him?
Rory?
No, keep going down. You know who I'm talking about.
Jason Day, no thanks.
That's the ticket.
I'm curious what Rory's is, actually. I'm going to look at that. 17%. So, like, in this field, it's probably pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
He could win. I know this is his first time playing, and a lot of guys, other shows talked about first-timers don't do well here historically, and it's probably true. It's factual. The issue is the people that they're playing against every year is guys like Dustin Johnson, and Brooks Koepka and Justin Thomas. So it's not easy if you're a first-time winner to play this for your first event, for the first Tournament of Champions, and win. So I'm not too afraid of Rory. I think he has a lot of upside this week. One other one, talking about ownership real quick, Cameron Champ, 18.5%. I was thinking he would be really popular, and if he's going to be moderately low, I guess, I'll probably play a little bit of Cameron Champ. He's only 8.1K. I think there's some upside there for this golf course at that ownership. If he was like 44% like Rahm, I'd be passing easily.
Yeah, I know. I think it had come up in Slack earlier today. So we're assuming that 14 to 18 is good ownership that we want to target here.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, so we'll just, not to give away too much, but like Dustin, I see over 35% right now, and he's in my one main lineup, and I was tossing around between him and Brooks. Brooks is substantially lower at 23%. So I think I was talking to Chris Farrader. I see him in the chat earlier today, and DJ was an easy, like, you're going to play DJ, yes. I don't care if he was 30%, but at Brooks, I like Brooks a lot this week. I think he'll resume how he played in 2016. I think he shot like 21 or 22 under. Last year was a fluke, obviously. He hurt his wrist. I think people probably noticed that. So if ownership keeps creeping up tomorrow, as bad as I hate to say, you shouldn't tinker. I might tinker into some Brooks over DJ in my single entries just for a little bit of leverage.
It's funny you say that because on my sentiment sheet here, I've got a down arrow by Brooks. Maybe it's because I think that I've heard just conversation in general today, maybe this afternoon later, that he's not a good win player, that I checked ownerships maybe around 3 or 4 and was really surprised. I think I even messaged you. I was like, is he getting overlooked in this case? And I started to outthink myself.
Yeah.
Why is he being talked down? Should I jump off? Should I move to Rahm instead? Well, if Rahm's going to be 45%, then I might just stick with where I'm at with Brooks.
Yeah, I think you're good with Brooks. I hate to overthink it at all. Like, even if single entry is way different than GPPs, obviously, but like if you really felt good about Rahm, I mean, I'm sure plenty of people can argue 45% is just absurd, but like if you're building a cash lineup, even though you shouldn't be this week, you kind of got to stick to your gut as far as what your early on consensus was if you want to play a guy that's going to be 35 or 40% in this type of field, at least, not in a 155-person field.
Yeah.
You want to we can kind of circle back here in a second, but I'm sure these guys are interested in how the weather is going to play out. So we can switch over to that if you want to take it. I'll hop it up on the screen. And, Thursday and Friday look rough. But what can you do? Everyone's pretty much teeing off at the same time.
Yeah, so historically we see this type of wind here. Kapalua is on the coast, as you can see right there. There's nothing we can do about it. But I was digging a little bit more on the direction that the wind was blowing. And it is predominantly blowing east, switch from east-northeast to just straight up east. And I went through the course breakdown and was looking at holes that would be into the wind versus holes where it would be helping wind, and then crosswinds. And of the 18, 4 are into the wind, 4 are with, and then the rest are crosswinds. And if you look at the map there, you can see east would be from the top right corner that you're looking at downward. And, half of those holes run east to west, basically. So that's where the crossing is coming from. And I honestly, I tried to go a little bit deeper. I started thinking of cuts and draws, who plays what. And, if a guy, let's say DJ, he's got his patented cut off the tee, does that benefit him in any way? Is that why he's had so much success here, as opposed to, Rory, who hits a high draw, Reed, who hits a draw? But honestly, a lot of the way these holes are set up with a crossing wind, there's not a huge benefit to one shot shape or the other. I mean, these guys are good enough that they can make it do whatever they want. So, in the event where the wind is with them, they can club down. In the event where it's into, obviously they'll club up, and it might be a little trickier. But outside of just strong winds and battling with that, I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I'm not paying too much attention to wind. I mean, you can always argue like the Australians play well in the wind, but that's not going to really put me on Leishman or anything like that. Back to our main view, but yeah, I hear what you're saying about the wind. I'm not going to put too much emphasis on it. If anything, maybe Showdown's one of these days. You can maybe look at it for that. But for the tournament wise, the full tournament, I'm not going to put too much thought into that. Are you changing any players because of that? I know you mentioned shot shape, but they're all going to play the same holes. There's really not a lot of benefit I don't see for shot shape. It's just going to be blustery. The only thing I do see here's what I do see. I forget who I was talking to earlier today, but it was about Molinari, and Molinari tends to hit it very high. That's why he won the British Open, even though people think of it being windy at the British Open. Those greens were as hard as concrete. So I could see a guy like that struggling more than most people would see, and a guy like DJ that hits it very boring. Brooks hits it very boring, like a very flat ball flight. They can, wouldn't say they have an advantage, but they don't have a disadvantage. I guess that is an advantage, I guess. So those are the kind of things, the kind of thoughts that I have as far as players. There's really not a lot, going down the list. There's really not a lot that stands out to me. Jumping back to pricing, are there any guy that you're like? The issue with the pricing is jumping back to the low 7s and the 6Ks. You could build good lineups saving 1K or 2K almost. I was having that issue earlier with one of my lineups because I was going down the list and realized I had, I think, 9,000 left, and I was still looking at the lower 7,000 guys.
Yeah.
But that's probably a good strategy as long as you feel good about that player.
Yeah. I found myself doing that too. Seeing how much I could leave on the table and still feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And you could pretty much do anything. outside of dropping down to somebody like Kazai or something.
Well, I'll use an example. Let's just theoretically, Kevin Tway 6,500. There's a chance he could finish higher than Webb, and Webb's what 6 or 85.
85, yeah, so no, definitely.
That's 2K difference. If you had 8,500 left, probably wouldn't work that many times. But just saying, Kevin Tway could outplay Webb in that situation. So it's possible. I think in GPPs, I'm going to leave a decent bit, maybe $500 max on the table every single lineup.
Yeah. And I think that's where, we can really benefit from targeting some of these guys in this range. I know on the podcast, both of us sort of harped on Poulter. I know some of the guys in chat are really on Poulter as well.
Yeah.
But Piercy is another guy. Maybe you feel Poulter is going to be a little bit too popular for that range. Piercy is a guy you can move to. Tway is what we talked about. I brought him up in the podcast. Like you said, it's not out of the realm of possibility that he finishes higher than guys like Reed or Woodland or Webb. guys that are 1,500, 2,000 more. And then what you can do with that additional salary, you can jump up and grab DJ and feel good about it. Another guy getting a lot of talk, Billy Horschel.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's at 25% now. I don't think he started the week there. I think he was probably closer to 15.
Yeah. He's picked up steam. Everybody is jumping on the Billy Horschel train, and it's a combination of his form and being 7K. I mean, that's ridiculous. All these guys above him, your favorite Brandt Snedeker, Bubba is 800 more than Horschel, and you compare form there. I mean, that's why we're seeing these trends toward these players. Not that they're bad plays, but I think they give us an opportunity to gain a decent amount of edge in fields that typically we struggle to find that.
Yeah. Jumping back to Papa Wolf had a question. Champ hits it long and low, which he definitely does. He's correct on both counts. Driving iron advantage here. I don't see them hitting a lot of driving irons. If they are hitting driving irons, it's because some holes straight downwind and they're somehow driving it into a hazard like 18 or something like that. So they should just be drivers on every single par 4 and par 5, or majority of par 4s and obviously every single par 5. So I don't see them hitting a lot of driving irons. It's just drivers, and I think the way the fairway's set up, that's what I mentioned on the podcast. I like the thought that most people have of it being so long. Guys like DJ have played well here, but you've seen guys that hit their irons really well. Their short game's good. They avoid 3 putts. They've done really well here. So I'm kind of targeting that as a differential as well. So we could jump back if you have any more thoughts. What I wanted to talk about real quick before we get into like the Q&A and stuff and then the giveaways. But this is our betting card. I may or may not have this up each time. It's kind of a good filler, I guess. But so what we have is, let's see, Webb Simpson, 22-1. Mark Leishman, 33-1. Billy Horschel at 50-1. Ian Poulter, 80-1. And Scott Piercy, 100-1. It's really tough to get the favorites in this type of field. You got guys like DJ at 5-1 or 6-1 in some places. That's not very good. I'm not going to pay that. So this is what we found as far as value. Then you can see the top 5s and first round lead bets there. And of course, this is posted every week on the Fantasy Golf Bag and on Twitter. So it's completely free. You can check it out. But yeah, that's who we are targeting this week as far as putter goes. Nice job, Top Score League. 25 on Poulter. I like it. I like Poulter a lot this week, man. I hope he plays well.
Have you seen any line movement on these guys in particular? Like, for example, I don't think Horschel's 50-1 anymore.
Is he not?
We've seen him gain traction in the last couple of days. I'm looking at it too. Ownership
doesn't always persuade the books, but let me look.
Okay.
Just because it's numbers game. Who'd you say? Horschel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still see 50-1.
Okay. So.
Yeah, all the guys. Kevin Tway's 125-1. He's not on the card, but I mean that's probably not the craziest thing in the world.
Yeah, I mean I've looked at way worse people at 125-1
in a bigger field.
Oh yeah.
In a bigger field.
And they hadn't won a PGA event either, so.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I'm pretty high on Kevin Tway this year, so we'll see. I know people love Champion for good reason, but we'll see how Tway does. Any more thoughts as far as the players? Maybe lineup construction. Like I built my single entry, and I haven't run all my GPPs yet, but like I said, it's very easy to leave a decent amount of salary and make a good lineup. So definitely don't be afraid. Don't try to use all your salary. I would encourage that.
I will throw something by you and just tell me how you feel about it. But I was thinking of when all this Brooks chatter or perceived Brooks chatter started to happen. I was thinking, well, let's see what happens if I drop Brooks down to Rahm or Rory, and then I can bump up, let's say a Leishman to Champ. Am I losing any particular edge by not playing DJ or Brooks or JT and just sticking with 9 and 8Ks?
Not an edge if it works out. You know what I mean? Like, It depends. If you're building one lineup, if it was me, I would have to have one of Brooks and one of DJ, one or the other. Starting below that, I mean, you could do it, but then you're really forced to leave a lot of salary, which is totally fine. But I would love. I mean, DJ's gonna finish top 5 at worst, probably. I mean, that's not gonna pay off his salary, but if you're building one lineup, you kind of got to have at least a chance of him winning.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't think you're trading off. You never know before the tournament starts. So totally up to you, man. If you think you have a unique lineup construction by starting in the 9K, then go for it.
Yeah. Okay. Just throwing it out there. I tend to do this.
You'll be saving like $3,000 on your salary cap by the end of it. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Start 2,000 less, and then you build around that, man. So it'd be unique. You got that.
Well, and that's what I know you had mentioned. Any thoughts on lineup construction? And I think a lot of people are going to play one of the top 4 or one of the top 3, DJ, JT, or Brooks, and then drop down and play one of the 9K, and then fill out the rest. I think that is going to be the normal lineup construction. So, GPP mindset. Where can we find an edge? Okay, it's not in ownership because there's only 34 people. Maybe it's building a lineup of 9 and 8K guys and having everybody in the middle and just rooting against the top.
In GPPs, absolutely. I think that's a decent strategy. And if anyone has specific lineup questions like that, we'll take them here in a second. But, yeah, man, I think we hit on everything pretty much as far as like the podcast goes. It's such a small field. There's really not a lot of changes that go from Monday till now. So pretty much what I thought on Monday pretty much sticks. Ownership's persuading me a tad, but pretty much only on ROM. I mean, 45% just sounds crazy to me.
Yeah, when you said that, I was like, are you sure you're reading that right? Because
yeah, and I'm usually one to tell you not to worry too much about ownership, but like 45% in this field, dude, no thanks.
Yeah, no, that's
no thanks.
That's a little rich for me.
He'll probably come in at like 12.
Probably. It's that reverse thing that we talked about last year.
Yeah, people see it and they kind of jump off.
They say, "Oh, I'm done," and then they hop back on at 15%.
Yeah. Are you playing any cash this week? I know on the podcast you mentioned cash. I mean, I'm not touching cash at all. Next week is going to be a great event, and then the West Coast swing starts. So this is one I'm kind of easing into, more or less. Probably more than I wish I was starting off the new year. But, yeah, it's not a cash week.
Yeah, no cash here for me. I'm in the twirl and just a couple other random things. Honestly, this is more kind of a get my routine back, figure out, again, how we go through the week, Monday to lineup block, and just see if we can't get lucky. I mean, honestly, when it comes down to these no-cut events, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Come Saturday, start of Sunday, just be close.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in the lead. That's no fun watching it drop.
Especially this week when the weather's going to be perfect. Sunday there'll be some 62 shot probably, and your guy that was leading will end up finishing 7th or 12th.
Well, and I know, that was one of the concerns about the wind, right? So the wind's going to be bad on Thursday and Friday. But historically, yes, the wind's bad, but we've also seen average winning scores are almost always in the 20s. That one instance where Spieth was at 30 under, I believe. So these guys are making up an insane amount of shots on Saturday and Sunday alone.
Right.
We're talking 8 under on Saturday and 59 watch on Sunday.
No, for sure.
Yeah. So
59 watch would be humming, man. Par 73. Yeah. That'd be impressive. Actually, it could still be done, no doubt. But that'd be impressive.
Jason Day is going to do it.
I hope not, man. I hope not. All right, so we got some questions popping in there slowly but surely. I know this is a smaller event, or I'm looking forward to next week for the Sony. To be honest, I mean I'm excited to kick it off with the Tournament of Champions, but to have a better field where you can build some decent lineups and don't have to really try hard to differentiate. I'm looking forward to next week. So next week we'll have probably a bit more to talk about in terms of sentiment values dropping or rising. So with that, man, we can probably jump over to Q&A.
Yeah, no, let's do it. I saw a question in there.
Yeah.
From Chris, I believe, about finishing points. You want to tackle that, or I can?
Go for it while I read it. If you've already read it.
Yeah, no, I mean, finishing points with this small a field, I don't think there's anything you can do about them. This essentially is the equivalent of a Thursday where all the weighting from those finishing points is skewing standings, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the way it is pretty much the entire way through. We're looking for guys that are just going to go birdie streaks, eagles, and you know who those scores are, and majority of we've already talked about. So I don't think that we are less interested in it. I think it's just a byproduct of the way that this field is and this tournament.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not. I mean, you always consider a finishing position, but like how someone starts on Thursday or Friday, there's no cut. There's really not a lot you can do. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead and throw out any other question there, Chris. I can't help you with that, man. It just depends on the guy. I mean, we got to make the best decision we can on who has played well here in the past and who has at least decent form coming in, even though it was a month and a half ago. So, yeah. I think you'll do fine. All right, so we got... You misspelled Chuck there, top score, but we'll let it go.
That's P-Dub.
Yeah, I know. Keegan versus Billy Ho straight up. Billy Ho. I think that's easy for me, man.
Oh, really? You were Keegan on the podcast.
No, I do like Keegan for DFS, but if he's talking straight up, I'll take Billy Ho.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I would ride Horschel with that one too as well.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while since Keegan's played here. Let's see, Horschel. He's only played here one more time than Keegan, as far as I can see. A 6th place, a 22nd, and 11th. But he's been playing. I mean, he's been playing good in that fall swing. I still think his iron play is as good as it gets. So I like Billy a lot this week.
I will say though, between that head-to-head, Keegan's last appearances here were 2012 and 13, and not since then. Now, granted, he finished 4th in 2013, but Horschel has been here much more recent. He had a 6th in 2014. 22nd the next year, and then an 11th last year. So,
well, yeah, that's perfect. Here, not to cut you off, but we got H Greeter. He says, "So, how much do you weigh experience here versus first timers?" I've heard a lot of that this week. I think there's definitely something to be said for it. I would not X someone out if they're a first timer, but again, like we talked about Rory. I mean, he's not a typical first timer anywhere, but like. I mean, you could say Andrew Putnam because it's his first time here, but he's so cheap. Like, it's all relative. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't play. I guess it depends on the situation, man. Like Ian Poulter, I like quite a bit. But if there was someone there that was like, if Cam Champ was the same price, that's a perfect example. If Cam Champ and Ian Poulter, although Poulter's probably never played here either, has he? Oh yeah, he did. Long time ago.
Yeah.
2010.
Almost dead last.
No, he didn't.
Or no.
9th and a 6th, man. That's why I like him.
2013.
Okay, so let's do a Cameron Champ versus Kuchar. You like them both. One's got experience, one doesn't. Are you really weighing that? I think I'm still looking at the golf course, and if you think Cam Champ's coming in with good form, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I would not knock him just because he's a first timer. They played 3 practice rounds before the event anyways. Like, I get when you get on the golf course and they actually have tour pins, the wind picks up and stuff, but man, I'm not gonna jump around just because of experience.
Well, and these guys too they're world class. So
yeah,
what they're losing from experience is in my opinion, it's strategy of how they're going to attack the course, not will they hit the fairway, will they hit the green, that sort of thing. I think that, like you said, it's very circumstantial. Price comes into play, a lot of factors, but more often than not, I think you would lean towards the guy with a little bit of history here.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I'm just saying, in this type of field and stuff, I don't think I don't think you can X somebody just for lack of experience. I'm not
saying we X them. I'm just saying it
still
adds.
Focusing on.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Casey and GPPs. I'm not a fan of Casey this week. What's your take on Casey this week? I feel like those are the kind that burn me, because it's like right off the bat, I'll look at them for maybe 5 minutes on Monday, and it's like, nah, pass, and then he finishes top 3. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Paul Casey this week. What do you think?
Casey, I think, is the prime example of what we were just talking about. He hasn't played here in a long time, in which point he had a 10th when his last appearance. It looks like his only appearance. And his form coming in, he was 16th at HSBC, 18th at the CJ Cup, and 13th in the CIMB. So he had a really good, solid Asian swing.
Yeah.
Honestly, when you ask about him, I think to myself, why didn't I suggest him instead of Bubba? Because it's $100 more, and he seems at least more stable in that region. Bubba? No, I'm just saying, through the thought process.
Yeah.
I'm thinking myself,
play him over Bubba.
Yeah, why did I not even think about Casey? It's almost like I just looked right over him.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, for Paul Casey, GPPs, it's probably a good idea, to be honest. Can't really argue that. He's played in plenty of conditions worldwide. Going down the list, Orange Man 96. You should flip those numbers around, man. Just kidding. Do you have any superstitions before building a lineup or before tourney starts, and have you ever seen a groin? Should have read the whole question before I started.
Yeah, I wasn't sure why you kept reading. But yeah, do you have any superstitions, Drew?
Yes, I do have superstitions, actually. So if I'm building it's pretty well documented. I'll build 2 main lineups every week, right? Both go into all the cash, go into all the GPPs, high dollar stuff, whatever it is. But those 2 are like my main lineups. So I don't build those until like really late Wednesday night, because I could never live with myself to go change anything. Like, it's weird. I'll have 5 guys in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I can change anyone else as long as I have 5. But as soon as I throw a 6th one in there, done. It's done. It's weird. And I don't know if it's hurt or helped me. I have no clue. But it's worked out. But that'd be my only superstition, man. Once I fill 6 in my main lineups, it's over. I've made my decision, and I'm posting it. I'm done. Okay. What about you?
So I'm the exact opposite. Once pricing comes out, and I'll go in and just reserve seats in contests I know that I'm going to be in, and I'll maybe wait, a couple of hours or so before I actually start looking at the stuff. Before we start researching for the podcast. But
yeah,
on Monday I will build the first one. Well, I say build the first one. I only do one, but I will make it the first time through. And then probably Tuesday, I will really have it fine-tuned. Now, for me, it's easier because I'm just picking 6 guys. I don't have to worry about exposure and a pool and things like that. But I feel that allows me to really dig in and determine who I think, put together, it gives me the best chance.
Yeah.
So, honestly, typically by Tuesday, I know we talked earlier this morning, and I pretty much had my single ready. I have found this one. Shout out to Orange here. I have found tinkering lose me a lot of money. So I really have told myself, all right, no, I'm okay with it. In the case of should I go down from Brooks to Rom, and then like 30 minutes later, I was like, oh, I'm okay with it. I'll just go back with what I got. So more often than not, whatever I have set on
Yeah.
Tuesday, I will not touch unless something crazy happens.
I think I've said that to Orange Man before because he has talked about one of his lineups, and then, it's like, yeah, I would probably swap these two. P-Dub's swap worked out perfectly last year, but like Orange Man on a typically an every week basis, it's like two guys that he could probably swap for that'd probably be a little bit better. But like, don't throw away that first lineup because who knows, man? GPPs, don't throw it away and then lose. That would be something I couldn't live with. So let's go down the list. We got Giant Beer, DFS. Thoughts on CH3? I looked at CH3 a little bit early on in the week. He just doesn't pop for me. Like statistically, he's always mediocre at best, in my opinion. I just don't see. I don't know. There's just not a lot of flash to him on this golf course. I see him having more trouble than some of the other guys in that price range.
Yeah, I don't have any interest in Chill. As much as I'm glad that he finally got a win after a long drought.
Yeah.
He just doesn't jump off the page at me.
Yeah, like I'm looking at some of his stats right now. Like he ranks decent in almost every category, but he's not like excelling in proximity or putting, ball striking. And he's known to be a ball striker. He's just not doing it. So I would rather avoid him this week. So sorry I can't help you much on that one, Giant Beer. Work a cut. I know typically it's never good to lock a player 100% in a max multi-entry GPP, but is this a good week to do it to be different? Yeah. Depends on how many lineups. Probably 150. I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm running one main lineup and then I think 40 GPPs, and I'm planning on locking in two guys for those 40. So yeah, I mean one for 100, 150 or something is probably fine. What do you think? I know that GPP is not your specialty, but I think in this type of field to be a little bit different and just be overweight on somebody, whether it's a value guy or an expensive guy. Like if you really want to make a stand on Bryson, which is I think the next question, you go 100% Bryson, you really are setting yourself up to be a good week or a bad week.
Yeah, no, I don't really have a take on maxing out something because I don't do it. So probably best for Drew to hit that one like he did, but no comment from me on that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think on a normal week, I think you're absolutely right. 100% is not the way to go. I see plenty of like pros do it, like DFS pros, but they also are running a huge bankroll, and they're probably doing more than just the 150 you see in one contest. They're probably running 500 lineups across however many contests. What's your takes on Bryson this week from Mr. Ferreter?
Ooh, actually, Bryson was one of the first in my lineup on Monday.
Really?
I thought to myself, I'm 100% going to lock him in. And then I started thinking more about his price and who was around him. And I was like, he's going to be really, really chalky. I feel like everybody is all about some Bryson lately. And that is what sort of pushed me down to Webb. Mm-hmm. And obviously wrote him up. So I am off of Bryson for my single lineup.
Interesting. I do like Webb this week. Bryson will be in my GPP pool, but he's not going to make my main lineup. So I guess we're on the same page there. Yeah, I like Bryson a lot too. I don't know. Just not at that price for this field for a main lineup. I'm going a different way. So, all right, Orange Man. So we got a couple left, and then we'll get to the giveaways. That'll be a fun time to finish it off. What we got here? Orange Man. I know you mentioned approach being an important stat. Who are the worst in those FI? I don't know what that means.
In this field.
Good job. I didn't read the next line. I'm very focused, man. Who is the worst in approach? Didn't Chris add that into the article on the website? Into his cheat sheet? He may not have included approach, but I'll pull it up real quick.
I thought approach was in there. I can read off some stuff that I've got. So in the last 24 rounds, I will just throw out, for my model, approach, I'll just say the last 10 or so.
Okay.
Bubba Watson, dead last.
Really?
Not surprising, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I do see that. Wow.
Reed is down there, Leishman, Kevin Na, Cam Champ, Ted Potter, Troy Merritt, Piercy, Tway, Garnett, Wise, Snedeker. I mean, not really a ton of guys that we've hit on. Maybe some guys to differentiate yourself, but
well, I like Webb. I'm surprised he's down that low. Like at 75 to 125 yards, he stood out to me. But I guess overall proximities, long irons, and stuff aren't very good. And then I'm disappointed in Patrick Reed's proximity because his short iron proximity is pretty good. But I will talk about Cameron Champ real fast. I'll let you proceed. But when he won the Sanderson Farms, I remember watching him play it, and obviously he bombs it, but he was missing some fairways, and it was just barely, and it wasn't that bad. But his iron game was a little bit suspect on some holes. Like it's probably well understood. Like if you hit it a long way, like 1 or 2 mile per hour difference can really drive like a 4-yard difference, which is what, 12 feet. Mm-hmm. So if he's got 3 degrees, that adds 12 yards. Like that's a lot. That's a long way. He has an issue with that, and it stands out now that you pointed out, man. He's losing strokes in every single proximity category except for over 200 yards and 150 to 175. So that was one of the reasons why I passed on him on the podcast Monday. So
that might be why he's coming in at like 18%.
I guess people are smart, man.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps for the worst ones. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at specific yardages. I don't know about you. We don't have to dwell on it too much, but like I really looked at short irons and wedges than overall proximity because I just don't see like 175 to 200 yards being a key stat for me this week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see.
Still have love for Kuchar. I do have love for Kuchar. He won't be in my main lineup, but he'll be in a lot of my GPPs. I'll say that.
If Leishman is going to be 35%, then I would gladly drop down to Kuchar, just below him.
You know what his ownership is? Did I tell you already?
15?
It says 10 now.
Oh, wow.
I'm sure each site's a little bit different, but yeah, he's at 10%. He's had 3 top 10s here. And his last showing 4 years ago, he finished 17th. So middle of the pack, but like for that price, and hopefully he's playing a lot better than he did last year, like after the win and stuff at Mayakoba.
Yeah, no, I got some interest in him.
All right, we'll do a couple more. Orange Man, again, I have to read this one before I say it out loud. I'm trying to straight. Great. Red, who are the 2 you're locking in, DJ and Poulter? DJ and Paulina, actually. I think they're a great way to round out a lineup. No, I actually don't know who my 2 are. I'm definitely doing 2. It's not going to be an expensive guy. It'll probably be 2 in the middle range, to be honest. It'll be
Jason Day and Brant Snedeker.
It won't be Jason Day, guarantee that. He'll be lucky to be in my pool. It'll most likely be like a Ian Poulter. That'll be one of them, and then I'm not sure. It'll be in the low 8s, probably. Low to high 8s. Could be Rory. I wouldn't mind doing Rory if I feel decent about it.
Yeah, that's not bad.
But he might not be lock status for that. All right, one more, and then we'll get to the giveaways. BW Robs 2. I have 7 lineups with 19 players, but no Rom or Bryson in any of them. Is that crazy? No. I don't know if you caught the first bit of the stream, but Rom is coming in at like 45% ownership. So depending on the GPPs you're playing, I mean, he could be maybe 30 to 50%, maybe. Probably not 50%, but 30 to 45 is probably the range. So no Rom. I actually like a strategic fade there. That actually makes a lot of sense to me. I like Rom if you were building like one single entry. He's okay, but again, at that ownership, I probably won't play any Rom, to be honest. I mean, he's still expensive enough, and if he finishes 22nd place, you're looking really good in your tournaments. The one Bryson, I probably would like to have Bryson, but in 7 lineups, if you try to keep your ownership kind of condensed, like you don't want to have a, maybe 5 guys just single in each of those lineups, if that makes sense. Like maybe try to keep a little bit more condensed player pool for those. So 19 and 7 is perfectly fine. I wouldn't try to just drop in Bryson in 1, and then it starts limiting your other players. So what do you think there?
Yeah, no, I like the strategic fade on Rahm, and honestly, it sounds like the same thing with Bryson. I wouldn't try and sort of shoehorn them in just to say that you're playing them, especially if those lineups, you feel good about your player pool, and you got some guys that you feel more strongly about than those two, especially considering ownership.
Yeah, Bryson's at 30%, just to throw that out there. 30%.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, that's not crazy at all.
All right. You guys can all type in the chat, so that's good. So, Jacob, I'm putting it on my laptop. Well, no, I'm not, because I have to do the actual giveaway. Just kidding. All right, so bear with us. We're going to go to the giveaway screen, and then we'll have an announcement at the end for next week's giveaway on top of all of this stuff this week. So, we got a little spin the wheel, man. Yeah, BW. You're welcome, man. What are you saying there?
No, I like spinning the wheel. I'm a fan of Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune and Price is Right. Yeah.
All right. So as you can probably see, we got, I think, 4 things. Maybe 5. So let me just throw them out there. You actually keep track, Jacob, because I forgot. We got golf balls. So that'll be one of the giveaways, right? We'll do Titleist Pro V1s. Got the FGB logo, which is nice. You'll see 2 T-shirts, and I don't have the other one. I'm wearing it. So one T-shirt is just our standard fantasy golf bag. The other one is an OG provided by Chris Ferreter. He's in the chat, Mr. C. Ferreter. It's got the OG baggers with the fantasy golf bag logo on the back. Really nice. Love it. Then we got a T-shirt or a polo shirt. Got that. 2 colors. And then we got a little FGB hat.
Nice.
I think that's it, man.
Nice.
All right.
Love it.
You ready to spin for the first one? We'll do 3 giveaways.
3. Ooh.
Chris, we might have a medium. We could shrink it down for you. Or if you need.
He might be talking about your shirt that looks a little too small.
Yeah. This is shrunk down. It was not pre-shrunk. It was post-shrunk. All right. So you guys ready to do this? What we're gonna do is I'm gonna spin it. It's gonna give us 1 item to give away. Then we're gonna do a little keyword. You're gonna throw it in the chat, and then it'll randomly pick a winner, and we're gonna see who wins the first one. And I'll write it down. You guys ready? All right.
Spin that wheel.
What do we got? What's the first thing? FGB hat?
Yep.
All right. FGB hat. So let's do for the first keyword. All you got to do is just throw this in the chat, and then I'll have the chat bot pick a winner. Let's do. We just said it. So let's do Bryson. So 1 second. Bryson is the keyword. Go ahead and throw that in the chat. You can do it too, Jacob.
All right.
There you go. We'll do that for like 10 seconds, and then I'll pick a winner. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Oh, it's getting saucy.
All right, that it? Ready?
I think so.
All right. Giant Beer has won the giveaway. Let me write that down.
There you go. Way to go, Beer.
So we got Giant Beer's first one. We'll go ahead and spin the next wheel. This will be our second of 3 for tonight.
All right.
Tell me what that one is.
I can't see it yet.
Title's golf balls. Crap. Now, I will caveat this. It's only 2 sleeves. It's not a whole dozen. So, all right. So, for this one, let's do... What are you going to do? Just do golf. We'll make it easy. We'll just do golf. You give me one for the next one. And
just do golf.
All right, guys. Right. Golf is the keyword. Oh, shoot. I already did it. I did a separate one. BW. There you go. Golf. My bad, man. There you go.
Oh, man.
This technology is tough. All right, 2 sleeves of golf balls. I see you throwing yours in there to get some extra. You probably don't even have golf weather up there.
Oh, no. It's supposed to snow like tomorrow.
All right, you guys ready? Is that it? That should be it. Who's that? Chris.
All right.
Chris got some golf balls.
Attaboy.
All right, last one. And then I'll talk about the giveaway for tomorrow.
All right.
Golf polo. All right, you'll have a choice of a golf polo. We'll contact you after the show. This one, what do you want to do? Let's just do FGB. Real easy, right?
Yeah.
FGB.
Now let's FGB. Sounds good.
Oh boy, oh boy.
FGB, who's it going to be?
All right, ready?
Everybody in there?
I think so.
All right.
Wow. Good job, Orange Man. All right.
Nice.
Before you guys all get going, so next week, if you tune back in, hopefully you guys enjoy this. I know it's a small field. 34 guys, I think, after the withdrawals and stuff, but hopefully you enjoyed the content. Check out the podcast next week. Next week, when you tune back in, we will be giving away this beast, which is a Ping G400 hybrid, 19-degree 3 hybrid, Tour 85 shafts. So that will be, along with the other prizes, the hat, the golf balls and stuff, we'll be giving away that golf club. So hope you guys tune back in next week. And good luck this week, guys. We'll see you in Slack if you're a member. If not, we'll be on Twitter. You can find me at Red Kachik on Twitter. Jacob, give him your handle, man.
At JK Ray ASU.
All right. Well, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. We will see you next week for the podcast, and then this live stream next week on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Good luck, guys.
All right. Later, guys.